in this video, we're going to go through the theories about language acquisition. So there are three main ideas that linguists have about how language is actually acquired, and I'm going to take you through each one of those today. Alright, so in terms of language learning, like I said, there are a range of theories which linguists and neurologists have thought up to explain the way children learn language. What we're thinking about today is how do children actually go through these processes and eventually speak like adults? So what's the things that happen in their brain? What is the process behind this happening? There are three main theories. These are behaviorism, innatism, and interactionism. Behaviorism is the first one we're going to talk about. So it suggests that language is acquired through children copying the people speaking around them. It argues that children develop language from what they hear around them and that they learn from imitation, reinforcement, and correction. For example, a child says "bicky," and the adult smiles and gives them a biscuit, and this reinforces the behaviour. So next time the child wants to receive a biscuit, they will say that word. However, what we know of children's language use shows us that they cannot always be copying. So I don't want another NAPL and other non-standard uses of language demonstrate that the children are actually applying what they know about the language, so what they've picked up in terms of rules, to their language use. So in this particular example, we can see that they are applying their own rules because they would have never heard the word NAPL before, okay? That's something they've picked up from hearing an apple, probably run together, an apple. But they've never heard the word NAPL on its own. So they've heard that and processed that as being a word, even though they haven't actually explicitly heard that before. Innatism suggests, so we're onto the second theory now. So innatism suggests that children are hardwired to learn language. That is, that there's a part of the brain specifically that already understands what language is, and language is acquired when it's unlocked or when it's accessed. This part of the brain is called the language acquisition device by supporters of the theory, such as linguist Noam Chomsky. It's thought to be a blueprint for language learning, and it aids children in the task of building grammar for their language. Most of the language that a child hears does not actually consist of full grammatical sentences. Constantly people stop, start, change their minds, stumble over their words. A whole lot of different things happen to make the language that children hear not fluent and not especially clear all the time. Innatism suggests that children should not be able to learn language in this format because the language that they're exposed to is impoverished or is not, I guess, up to standard in comparison with the language that they're eventually able to produce. Another reason to support innatism is that children's language learning must be child-directed. If the children were not the ones directing the language learning, they would never progress past very simple language such as "look doggy" and all of that other kind of baby talk that caretakers and parents use when talking to children. So often children are spoken to in a way that is very, very simplistic and like that baby talk kind of phenomenon that you would have seen before. So innatism kind of argues that there must be something in the child that allows them to pick up other features of the language because they're not being explicitly taught the more complex features of the language by the people around them. Psycholinguist Jean Acheson suggests that language learning is like a giant puzzle that children have to solve and that they're equipped with the right puzzle-solving device. This leaves us with the question, is this feature specifically for language learning or is it used for a wider range of cognitive functions? Actually, I should say, in terms of the language acquisition device, there's no actual evidence to say this part of the brain is the LAD. So that is the biggest drawback in terms of the theory of innatism, because we can't actually say definitively, yes, this is the LAD. Okay, so that's one of the things that people criticize when evaluating this particular theory. Okay, interactionism is the last one. It basically suggests a combination of behaviorism and interactionism. It represents the idea that children are born with an inherent ability, meaning an ability that's built into them, to learn language, but the children need to interact with other humans in order to kind of unlock this ability. People who support interactionism believe that language development is both biological and social. So children are born with brains that predispose them to be able to pick up languages. And when they see people communicate around them, they develop their desire to communicate. And that's what actually allows them to do that. All right, so can you please put those three theories into your notes and into your scrapbook, and then go to Love the Lingo, the yellow textbook, and on page 70 and 71, please do tasks 13, 14 and 15.